Okay, so like I said, I don't have the quiz results, so sorry. But before we get started, we are doing today's lesson on data handling. What do you guys remember about data handling? What comes to mind when you think about data handling? You can let me know in the chat, or you can speak to me. Anything about data handling? What do we remember? Anybody? Gulping. Are there any calculations that you remember doing for data handling? Are there things that we draw for data handling? Okay, if I say the words mean, mode, median, and range.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, guys, just remember to please stay on mute. There we go, Tiamo, you remembered range. Awesome. Okay, does this ring a bell? Do these 4 things ring a bell? Yes, all of okay. Mean, median, mode, and outlier, as well as range. Good. Okay, what do we mean by the mean? How do we work out the mean of our data sets? Does anyone know? Mean is the average. Yes, Michle. Okay, so mean is we're going to add up all our data, so the sum of our data. Over the number of data values. So if I have 10 numbers and I want to get the mean, I'm going to add up those 10 numbers and then I put it over 10 because they're 10 numbers. Well done. Good. Well done. Nice, Yamo and Michle. Then mode. What is the mode? There we go. The number that appears the most or the most repeated number. Okay, so mode, most sounds very similar. Okay, so number that we see the most or that occurs the most. Median, what's our median? Good, well done. It's our middle number. Okay, so we have to first put our numbers in order and then we find the middle number. So I'm going to say middle number of an ordered. So ordered data set just means we put it in ascending order. Smallest to biggest. Good, Michle. Beautiful definition. Okay, and then range. Now it's an easy one. Yes, our highest or biggest number minus our lowest or smallest. . Good. Okay, so These 4 things will also appear in grade 11 and grade 12. So it's really, really important that you remember these. It doesn't get any harder. But I have noticed that when it comes to the test, we mix them up, especially the 3 M's, mean, mode, median. Okay, so please, please, please make sure that you know them because it's nice, easy marks in your exams. Yeah, as Kia said, if you haven't written it down, now's a good time to have a screenshot moment. All right, so now let's get started with some past paper questions. Okay, so the first question says, Mrs. Smith kept the record of all children who participated in swimming during April 2021. Table 2 below shows the age of the children. Okay, so we've got all the ages for the month of April. 2.2.1, is the data in table 2 discrete or continuous? Give a reason for your answer. What do you guys think it is? Discrete or continuous? Okay, anyone else? What are we saying it is? Yeah, it is numerical, but numerical split up into discrete and continuous. Anyone else want to give it a try? Tando, yes. Let's quickly unmute you. Tando, have you seen a message pop up on your screen to unmute?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good and you, ma'am.
Good, thanks. What's your question?
Yeah, I think in 2.2.1, it is a continuous.
Okay, and why do you say that?
Because here in the table, it shows there are numbers that repeat themselves.
Numbers that repeat themselves.
Yes.
Okay, and what's your definition of continuous?
Can you repeat, ma'am?
Okay, so how do you understand continuous? What does continuous data mean to you?
The way I think when it comes to continuous, it is where the numbers repeat itself more than times or twice.
All right. Okay, so not quite. We've got a different definition for discrete versus continuous. But did you say the answer was continuous?
Yes, I did say it on the comment.
Perfect. Thank you. And then we'll just update the reason. But I'm just going to explain the 2 definitions now to everyone. Thank you so much, Tando.
Thanks, ma'am.
Okay, so guys, let's quickly have a look. Discrete data means we are looking at values with whole numbers. Continuous data can have decimals. And it's normally forms of measurement that we use, continuous data. So like measuring the distance, measuring someone's height, for example, that's continuous because they could be 2 meters tall, which is really tall, but they could also be 1,7 meters. So yes, 2 meters is a whole number. However, that type of measurement can have decimals. So it's a bit tricky when it comes to age, because age is continuous because it's measuring someone's age. However, the data in the table only has whole numbers. Okay, so when it comes to age, we need to look at the context. And in this table, there's only whole numbers, so we're going to say discrete because we have all the data is only whole numbers. But in general, age is continuous. So either way, if you explain it, it should be right.
Okay.
Okay, so your age is a tricky one, so just remember that one. Okay. Then let's have a look at 2.2.2. Name one method that Mrs. Smith used to collect the data above. What data collection method can you remember? How could Mrs. Smith keep track of this data? How do you think?
Mihle said a survey.
That's one way, but do you think she did a survey? Nompumelelo, we've started the lesson. Okay, so we know survey questionnaire is one way to collect data. Interview is another way. Interview, survey, questionnaire. Don't you think Mrs. Smith would have been at the swimming practice and she could have seen the learners at the practice? What method would you use when you're actually looking and then recording? Could use a record sheet, but use a record sheet after you. Yes, Sonia. Observation is a good one. So she went to the swimming lessons, swimming practices, and observed who was there, and she could tick them off. Okay. I don't think survey would have been a good choice for this. Yeah, or questionnaire or interview. She would have to have seen them there. She can't ask them afterwards, okay, how many lessons did you go to? Or swimming practices. Okay, so observation, looking with your eyes, and you record as you see the people. Now, question 2.2.3, determine the median age for the above data. Median age. So median is our middle number. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to quickly find the median for me. Let me know if you need some help. Pandor, raise a hand. Yes. Let's quickly. Oh, I see you unmuted. Yes, Tando.
Can you explain me about when it comes to median?
The median.
Yes, in the table. Because
Okay. All right, no, that's fine. So we've got all our numbers there, right? We've got 12, 14, 13, 14, 17, 18, etc. Okay, so now we need to find out the middle number of all those numbers. Okay, so what you're going to do, but remember, it needs to be of an ordered data set. So you need to go and write all those numbers in order first, smallest to biggest, and then you go and find the middle number.
okay, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Good question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Pleasure. Okay, if we have an answer, you guys are welcome to share it. So just remember, when we are finding the median, we have to put all the numbers in order. Okay, so I'm going to do that so long. You can just check. Okay, so when you're rearranging the numbers, make sure that you have included all the numbers. So if you need to cross out as you are writing them down, do that. So you should have 19 numbers in your data set. Okay, so I've put my numbers in order. Now I need to find the middle number. Anyone got the middle number yet? Nice, Lucidi. Yes, Katleho. Okay, last hello. Okay, so I see we're all getting 13. So just to clarify, because there's 19 numbers, that means it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the middle number is indeed 13. You couldn't cross out from each side until you get to the middle. Or I just know that half of 19, well, you can't get exactly half, so it'll be 8 and 8, and then the leftover number will be the middle number. Okay, I see Kia's dropped a pro tip for you in the chat. It looks like we all understand median. Please remember to always put your numbers in order before you work out the middle number. Okay, question 2.2.4, calculate the range of the above data. I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to quickly work out the range. Remember to show you're working out. Okay, anyone else got the range? Got 3 correct answers so far. Okay, good. So question is for 2 marks, so we need to show some calculations first. Remember, range is our highest minus our lowest, or highest number minus the smallest number. Our highest number in the data set is 18. minus the smallest number, which is 8. So our range is 10. So you get 1 method mark and an answer mark. That's how you get your 2 marks. Nice. Looks like we all got that. Well done. Okay, now a long one. Determine the mean age for the above data. So we're looking for the mean of our data sets. Make sure you type in your calculator correctly and you double check your adding, especially when there's lots of numbers involved. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. Let me know if you need some help. Okay, so remember with the mean, we add all our numbers together and we divide by the amount of values we have. Let me know when you guys have your answers. You should have decimal places. Remember to keep it to 2 decimal places. Yes, Tiamo. Yes, Sonia. That's good. That is correct. Okay, if we add all our numbers up, what do we get? If we say 8 plus 9 plus 10, etc., what do we get as our total? Good. We get a total of 251. We then divide by the number of values we have. We have 19 numbers, so I divide by 19. And that gives us an answer of 13,21. We don't round off to a whole number unless they ask us to. Okay. If we have any questions, please let us know in the chat or raise your hand. Okay. If we're all good, let's look at the next question. Determine the modal age for the swimmers. Modal age. Okay, so I know it's expressed differently here, but modal is the same as mode. What is the age that occurs the most? That's good, Siamo. There can be 2 sets. What 2 ages appear the most? Yes, Michle. Sonia. Siamo. Good. Okay. So it is possible to have 2 modes. So we have 10 and 17 that occurs the most. You can even have 3, okay, modes. It's also possible to have no mode. So let's say, for example, all those numbers there weren't repeated at all. You would say no mode. You don't say mode's equal to 0, because then that's implying that the number 0 is the mode. If you have no mode, nothing has been repeated, your answer will be no mode. So it's possible to have no modes, possible to have 2 modes, possible to have 3 modes, etc. Okay, so don't doubt yourself there. Good, looks like we all got that. Well done. Okay, so how are we feeling about data handling? Is it all coming back to us? Was that an okay question? If you got this question in your exam, how would you have felt? Let me know in the chat. Are we feeling confident with data handling? Some smiley faces, thumbs up, you know.
No one is saying anything. It's so scary. When we started, I was like, if no one is saying anything about data handling, how did they handle paper one?
Right? Okay, there's all the emojis coming through. Oh, you actually got those questions in the exam.
Fine.
You enjoy it. Well done. Feeling confident. Yeah, so Miki, that is generally the problem with data handling, is that we tend to mix it up. So please, guys, it's just 4 things that you need to know off by heart in data handling. Make sure that you know them. Okay, because it is easy to mix them up. But like I said, they could ask you these kinds of questions in a grade 12 paper as well. So know it now for the rest of your Mathlet journey. Okay, data handling is easy. Good. I hope it stays that way. Okay, Tiamo, you didn't have any of these questions in your exam. Hopefully, end of the year. Let's try another past paper question. So this was actually from a past paper. This is what you can expect in future papers. Let's have a look at another question. Let me zoom out a bit. Okay. Grade 11 mathematical literacy learners wrote a test marked out of 50 marks. The results are displayed on the graph below, showing the distribution of marks. So whenever you're given a graph, just take some time to look at all the information. So we can see that we have number of students on the side, our y-axis, our dependent variable side, and then we have marks at the bottom. And as you can see, the marks have been put into ranges. So we have how many students got between 0 and 5 marks, the amount of students that got between 6 and 10 marks. Okay. So question 1.2.1, name the type of graph used to display the data of results. What kind of graph are we looking at? Now, this is always the 50-50 question, isn't it? Is it a bar graph? Is it a histogram? What's the difference between the two? Okay. Emmanuel, raise your hand. Let's, oh, no, made a mistake. I got so excited, didn't you, Kia?
I did. There. Yay.
And then the hand disappeared. Oh, sad. Okay. Histogram has spaces between them. Bar graph has spaces between them. Okay, so it looks like we're mixing up the two. So let's just remind ourselves. Histogram. Emmanuel, are you raising your hand for real this time?
Talk to us. Hi, Manuel. Hello. I will try again later.
Okay. So histogram, there are no spaces between the bars. Okay, bar graph has spaces. So a trick when it comes to learning something, just learn one. Just know that histogram, there's no spaces, and you know bar graph is going to be the opposite. Because now if you are learning histogram, no spaces, bar graph, spaces, you tend to get confused. So you know that the other one's the opposite. So just learn one off by heart. Okay. Whichever one will be the easiest, learn that one, and then you know the other one is the opposite. Because I can see we got confused. All right, so our answer for 1.2.1 is histogram. And it is a common question because the examiners know that you tend to get confused between the two. Zoomed in a bit too much there. Okay. Then 1.2.2, determine the number of learners that wrote the test. Okay, so if we have a look at the graph, we can see that 30 learners scored between 0 and 5. Then we had 25 learners that scored between 6 and 10, etc. So using that clue, I'm going to ask you to determine the total number of learners that wrote this test. Nompumelelo, it's close. I'll double check that. The question, Tando, is determine the number of learners that wrote the test. So we're looking at the bar graph. Yeah, supposed to calculate the number of students. Oh, okay. Yes, Tiamo, that's good. So as you can see with our first bar, the bar is in line with 30. So that means 30 learners got between 0 and 5 out of 50. Then we look at the next bar. The next bar is in line with 25. That means 25 learners scored between 6 and 10 marks out of 50. Our next bar is 40 learners that got between 11 and 15 marks out of 50. The next bar is 35. So each bar is telling you how many learners. So to work out the total, you need to go and determine how many learners by each mark range and then add them together. Yes, Lisa, good.
I think you just need to zoom in a bit. There's someone that can't see clearly.
Okay, I'm also helping you guys out a bit. So I'm writing the numbers above the bars because it might be a bit hard to see depending on what device you are using. So I'm giving you the total for each bar. Mpumelelo, did you see where you made your mistake? Do you understand it now? Good, Lesedi. Awesome, great. Okay, guys, so if we have a look at each bar and we take the number of learners in each mark range and we add all of those numbers together. Remember, this question is for 2 marks, so we need to show working out. The first bar represents 30 learners. The second bar represents 25, then 40, 35, and then always double check that you've got all the numbers, you haven't forgotten a bar, so you count how many bars there are and make sure that you have the same amount of numbers. Okay, and if you add all of that together, and I saw most of us did get this answer, it's 215 learners that wrote this test. So if you have a look at this graph, that means 5 learners out of 215 got between 46 and 50 marks. Okay, so that's about 90%, 90 to 100%. Only 5 learners got in that mark range, for example. So that's how you can also read this graph. Okay, let's have a look at question 3. Okay, so this isn't related necessarily, to the graph. Calculate the marks out of 50 for a learner that obtained 68% in the test. So what would 68% equal if we had to look at a mark out of 50? What would their mark be? Would it be 25 out of 30? I mean, out of 50, for example, 30 out of 50. What would 68% represent? Yes, well done. Anyone else want to try? Okay, so well done to the 2 that have answered, 3 that have answered. Well done. Does anyone want to explain how they got that answer? Nompumelelo, yes. Oh, sorry, I just muted you by mistake.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Things say yourself.
I'm good, thank you. You're on fire tonight. Thanks so much for being willing to answer our question.
Yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure.
So how did you get 34 out of 50?
Basically, I took 34 and then like I made it as a fraction. I said 34 out of 50 and then I multiplied by 100 and gave it 88%.
Okay, so you kind of just guessed a random number until you got to 68%.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, well done. So that is one way to do it, because we know whenever we're working out the percentage for our tests, we always take our mark. Okay, we divide
Yeah.
by what the total is, and then you times by 100. Correct. Hey,
Yes, ma'am.
and then you got 68. So that is one way to do it. You can roughly guess and then do trial and error until you get 68%. Or there's another way you can do it. Thank you so much, Nompumelelo, for doing that for us.
Yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure.
Well done. Okay, then another way you can do it is take the percentage. We know that it's 68%. 68 as a fraction is 68 over 100. We want to get a mark out of 50, so we get the 100 equal to 50, so I divide by 2. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So that gives me 34 over 50. Okay, so all I did there was I took my percentage, made it a fraction. So percentage is always over 100. And then I made the denominator equal to 50 because that's what the test was out of. And I did the same to the top. So Tando raised a hand. Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
there are 1.2.2.
Yeah.
When they say determine the number of learners that wrote the test, what do they mean?
Just how many learners wrote the test? What is the total number of learners?
Okay.
So they want to know the whole total of how many learners wrote this test. And in our graph, we can only see sections. We can see like how many got 0 to 5 out of 50, how many got between 6 and 10 marks. So we had to get the final total. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Thanks. Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, ma'am.
Pleasure. And then, Katlego, I was about to say, there is another way, and that way is brilliant. Well done. Another way you can work out that the mark was 34 is you could say 68 over 100. So we put it in our normal fraction from percentage into a fraction. And then we just times by the mark we want it to be out of. So I'm just going to times by 50. And that gives you 34. So there are 3 ways you can do it. Trial and error. Okay, then or you could put it into percentage form, get your denominator to what you need it to be, and then you do the same thing to the numerator, or you take your percentage, put it in a fraction, and times by what mark you want it out of. Okay. So that was testing you on some percentage knowledge there. If we have any questions, let me know in the chats. But let's have a look at our next question. Oh, we got another graph. The graph below shows the number of houses sold in different locations. So we have A, B, C, D, and E Those are different locations, and we have our number of houses sold. Let's just take a moment to look at the graph. As we can see, there are 12 houses that have been sold in location A. If I look at B, it's in between 8 and 6. So that means 7 houses have been sold in location B. So that's me just understanding the graph. I haven't asked a question yet or looked at a question. I'm just seeing how this graph works. Okay. Question 1 says, write down the type of graph that was used to represent the information above. Hopefully we all get this one right. What kind of graph are we looking at? Fantastic. It is indeed a bar graph. So as you can see, it's quite common for them to ask the type of graph they've given you. Okay, for 2 marks. So please make sure you know the difference between the two. It's 2 free marks. All right, question 2, very similar to our previous question with the other graph. Calculate the total number of houses that were sold in all the locations. Calculate the total number of houses that were sold in all the locations. So you need to go and look at each location, see how many houses were sold in each, and we need to get the total, so we need to add. Oh, some of us are quick tonight. Nice, well done. Good. Looks like we all learned from the previous question. So we need to go look at each bar, determine how many houses they were sold in each location. So location A, it was 12. Plus location B, we had 7 houses sold. Location C had 5. Location D had 8 houses. And location E only had 2. And that gives you a total of 34 houses sold. So we need to show this first step for our first mark, and our second mark is for our answer. Nice. Well done. Thanks for showing working out there, Tando. Good. Okay, and then the last question for this evening, question 3, calculate the percentage of houses that were sold at location D. So we need to make a percentage. Calculate the percentage of houses that were sold at location D. I'm going to give you guys a minute or 2 to think about this one. Try, figure it out. Okay, just watch the rounding. But otherwise, fantastic work. Yes, Yamo, yes, Olopacheng. Wow, you guys are on fire tonight. Definitely gonna ace data handling going forward. Okay, guys, so when making a percentage, or determining the percentage, we always take what we're looking at. So we're looking at D. D has 8 houses sold. So we always take what we're looking at over the total, and because we want it to be a percentage, we times by 100. So what we're looking at D. D is 8 over our total, which is 34. And because we want it in percentage form, we times by 100. So what we're looking at over our total times by 100, which gives us 23,529. Okay, but we always round to 2 decimal places. So I just wanted to remind you how we round. Okay, 2 decimal places means we're looking at that two spots after the decimal comma. Okay, we look to the right of it to determine if it's going to stay as 2 or if it goes up. And because there's 9 next to it, the 2 goes up. So it becomes 23,53. And don't forget the percentage sign. Okay, and I see those of you that answered to get this correct. So as you can see, guys, data handling, it's the same kinds of questions over and over again. They like to ask at least one percentage question. They like to ask you about what kind of graph you're looking at. They like to ask about the mean, mode, median, and range. So make sure that you practice these and you don't get confused between those 4 calculations. Lauren, is there another way to do this? No. Not with this information given to us.